Alright, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. We're going to be doing ourselves another one of these best of fives from WCS here, WCS Spring. So it should be another fantastic Terran versus Zerg, pardon me, as I know I've cast a lot of these, but you guys can't complain about TvZ. It's just such an awesome matchup. But we've got ourselves a best of five, and introducing the first player, the Terran player. I don't believe I've ever cast him before. It's Time. He's a Chinese Terran player, and that's probably partially the reason why I haven't cast much of him before. And then spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, I've cast him a lot. It's SortOf. He is the Swedish Zerg player, I want to say, on Team Cascade, but do not quote me on that one. And yeah, just another fantastic best of five, Terran versus Zerg. Going to be casting all the games, so one of them at least needs to win 3 of the maps in order to take it. It could be 3 in a row. It could be back and forth. We'll just have to find out. I personally do not know. But yeah, this TvZ, it should be a good one. Both these guys very high-level mechanical players. Time, I'd say, is a little bit more of a favorite, as he's had the tournament results, whereas SortOf really hasn't. SortOf is a very good Zerg player, but he hasn't really had the results in order to back it up or anything like that. But we'll see what he's able to do versus Time here. Now, this TvZ should be a good one. As we're getting on into this game, I will read the comment of this video, and Jake Paulus says, comment, exclamation mark. And to that I say, come on guys, we can do a little bit better than that. Make sure to leave your comments in the description down below about these videos, but we'll see how this one's going to go. So far, it's starting to heat up here a little bit. Time going to be going for what looks like a 2-1-1, which is a very exciting build to watch. It is perfect, I'd argue, test the waters build for a Terran player, just to see what you can get away with versus your opponent, because it is a build that really allows you to shine. A good Terran player with a 2-1-1 can dismantle a lesser Zerg. However, sometimes your 2-on-1 will just get shut down. So I really like that Time's opening up with this build for starters in the series. He's coming on in with his Reaper for now, though. Just going to poke and prod, but no, the 2-on-1 is a build that I've been doing it a fair lot. It's very tough to do, like, makes you realize how good some of the players are, because, I mean, you just go to drop your Marines, you look back at home to macro for half a second, and then suddenly they're all surrounded and die. Time trying to pick off that creep tumor, not quite able to get it, though. But, no, just let's see what's going on here. Just, yeah, standard 2-1-1 follow-up for Time. SortOf, we'll see if he scouts it and identifies it. It's pretty standard for Zergs to know how to defend this build. As a matter of fact, if you are a Zerg in the year 2019 and you don't know how to stop the initial 2-1-1 push, I don't know how you've made it this far, honestly. So, SortOf, it's just a matter of him really identifying that this is coming his way and not sleeping on the scouting or anything. Because when this build first came out, it was just killing Zergs left and right. They were not prepared for the timing of the stimmed Marines, but then of course it took like a week for them to figure it out. Like, okay, 32 lings, Queen's in the right position. SortOf is trying to scout out here. He's trying to get on in with this Overlord to see what's coming out. He's going to see that there's 4 Marines, but hasn't seen anything else, and that's actually all that he'll see. So SortOf not getting all the information that he wants. Sees there's Marines and not Hellions. That's a bit of a tip-off. But getting the full scout on a 2-on-1 is pretty important. However, we'll see if he just blindly prepares for this or not. So far, a lair on the way for SortOf. The lair going to allow him to tech up into whatever else for now, though. Just going to want to see SortOf start spreading that creep, continue on doing so. And then eventually this attack's going to come on in. We'll see how prepared he is for it. Time going to wall off back at home, which will allow him to move out. Because when you go for a 2-on-1, when you go for the move out, that's pretty much everything. Oh, by the way, SortOf scouts this pretty much. Just seeing those lings at the top of the ramp, probably enough to know about this. And as a result, we see him sort of making a few lings here, making more queens. He's even getting up a spore crawler. Where is that placed? At the back of his base. Okay, to prevent drops and things like that. But no, SortOf should be pretty well prepared to defend this push. Time's got his Reaper still alive, just sharking about what units have died this game. 1 Ling and 1 Overlord have died so far this game. As far as everything else, though, Time now just moving out. Did he get, like, supply blocked or something? This is a bit odd. Time moving out, not with a full medivac, which is pretty interesting. I mean, he's only got, what? Yeah, 2-on-1, you move out with 16 Marines or, like, a mine or something. This just isn't all the stuff for Time. Wonder what went on there, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of the loop or something. Time coming on in with his Marines, shooting into the Queens there, but they have a lot of health. The Reaper Grenade sends one of the Queens flying, but no, for Time, I mean, yeah, that was not two full medivacs, so I wonder what happened there. Maybe he got distracted by Lings or something. For now, though, Time just going to be following this up with a third command center. He's still going to be dropping all over the map. There we go. He comes on in with his reinforcements here. He's even got a mine in with this. You got to be very careful of the friendly fire from the Widow Mines, but in we see Time marching on in. Sort of got some Banelings, but for now, he's just using his Queens, not wanting to take a bad engagement. That mine not gone off yet, actually gets focused down there. Nicely done by Time, however, or by SortOf, but there isn't a lot of Lings left to buffer for this. The Queens, though, they've got a lot of health transfused, keeping them alive. And in the end, SortOf does deflect his opponent and does a good job of that. Back at home, third command center is on the way for Time. I already said that he started that, but the timing of that, okay, that just happened. Time's username. But no, yeah, the timing of the third command center, it's a little bit later because he went for a 2-on-1, so it's a little bit painful. He does have the quicker 1-1 upgrades, but SortOf does have his own started, so it's not like he's going to be a whole tier behind. And Time, I mean, he got some damage done. He forced some units out, but he didn't really get enough done with this. For a 2-on-1 to be considered successful, you really got to keep the ball rolling to get something else done. And while Time has managed to shut down some of SortOf's units, say force out a few here and there, he hasn't got enough done. Might even lose a medivac there. You got to be careful. But no, SortOf a pretty happy Zerg. The fact that he deflected this, that gives you a lot of time to breathe after shutting down the first wave. A fourth base is on the way. I was wondering about that. But we already see the fact that there's a Spire on the way. Time saw the lair, but of course, you can't really know whether it's Hydras or Mutas. The Muta's a little bit more common than they were in the past meta, I'd say. Zergs have kind of been picking it up again. But as far as everything's considered, I'd say this is a pretty alright spot for SortOf. Time, of course, can come in for follow-up attacks, but he's firing up 18 Banelings back at home when he's already got 10, so gonna have a very healthy amount in order to repel the next attack that's coming his way. He's got that Baneling speed, gonna have his own 1-1 upgrades done, and since the armory is just starting for Time, his upgrades are not gonna continue rolling, so Times doesn't really have a lot going for him this game. Of course, he is getting up his third command center, but still not a comfortable spot to be a Terran off the back of a 2-on-1 that didn't accomplish a lot. The pressure is definitely on Time right now. That being said, though, he is going to be moving in with these tanks off creep, sieging them up, going to probably begin poking SortOf a little bit. And there's always a chance Time can take a miracle engagement, but there is a lot of Zerg here right now. 2 Liberators are moving on into the base of SortOf. However, there are Mutas out, which can come in and help deal with this. We'll see if SortOf's going to react to this properly. He's got Mutas pursuing the 1 Liberator. Meanwhile, he is being pushed at the 4th. A Ling counterattack gets shut down, so a lot going on this game for now. But I'm not sure that it's actually going to be a ton of real damage. That Liberator in the main base gets shut down. The one in the natural is being worked on. It's got itself a fair few drone kills. Nothing catastrophic just yet. A nice bit of damage, though, getting done by Time. 8 drones going down, and he has forced SortOf to make a lot of units. That being said, though, SortOf now going to dive right on top of this. There's a ton of Banelings here. The tanks are going to get shut down. There's a few tank shots going off pretty nicely, so not a bad trade in the end for Time, though. I mean, there was a lot of Banelings there. Yes, he got cleaned out, but those tanks, they did shoot a fair few Banelings and Lings before they did go down. Now, SortOf, he has had Time work out for him. He's got an upgrade lead, or will have an upgrade lead. He kept his 4th base out. He probably wants to make like 1 more round of drones, and then he'll be in a pretty good spot. For now, the worker count is even, so economy-wise, it's not too bad for the Terran player. But there are Mutas now on the way for SortOf. He's starting to build up to that scary count. A Ling counterattack being planned here, but it's going to run right on into some Marines here. SortOf turns those guys around, but a lot of those Lings do die there. Now, Time, he is playing like a very classic Terran style. Just get that 3cc, start making, say, Thors, some mines, get your 2-2, and then start pushing into the Zerg player if you can. SortOf, he's going to try and delay, get damage done with his Mutas. And we'll see if he's able to do enough of that. The main base of Time, he's going to have a Thor in it, so he should be safe in that regard. The Mutas maybe looking to pick off a refinery or something. Getting a medivac would be nice, and there we go. A nice start for SortOf. Until Time moves out, he's really going to be looking for some damage that he can get done with these Mutalisks. But this TvZ, so far, it's looking pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's just a great game so far. But the 5th base for SortOf is up, and that's a pretty good sign for the Zerg player. Time trying to secure up a 4th command center, but this isn't a super quick one. We're 10 minutes into the game. The Zerg's economy is going to be pretty darn scary. The Mutas, oh, they might find one of these medivacs. That would be nice. Time going to come in and save it. Nicely done, but SortOf showing good control there. And oh, he even has a feelings and Banes here, maybe just wanting to dive on top of this army. And it looks like he probably will be able to. There's enough Mutas and Lings here to engage this. The medivac gets focused down. The Banelings are going to send the Marines running. So SortOf just doing a bit of light harassment here. A few Banelings will roll forward and get some decent connections. And all right, trade there for SortOf. Delays the 3rd command center, keeping the pressure on his opponent. Grabs a Widow Mine or 2 as well. And so SortOf really running away with this game. This is just not going well for the Chinese Terran player. Beautifully done by the Zerg, just picking off these refineries, just keeping the pressure on the Terran. As a Terran, you don't want to be having to deal with stuff like this. Looks like a bit of drops going down for SortOf. Some Queen's going to have to come on in to clean up that Liberator. Meanwhile, Time pressing on towards the 4th base. SortOf, though, he's got himself a good number of Banelings, and he's making 32 more. A few of them get canceled, but there's going to be a lot of Zerg here to deal with this. The Liberator, looks like it will be cleaned up. The Queens are really taking one for the team there. Oh, that big engagement's going down. Banelings rolling on in, and yeah, Time's just getting sort of washed here. This is what was really expected just from the opening of this game. Sometimes it just doesn't come together for the Terran player, and a Zerg like SortOf, he's played versus Terrans who've tried this style a ton of times, so you really got to make something nice happen. But there wasn't anything for Time, and now he is a dead Terran. GG. SortOf takes game number 1. Beautifully done by the Swede, and now we'll get on into the next game here. Of course, since these are older replays, it's going to involve, you know, relogging in every time because Blizzard hates us for some reason. Next map's going to be Cyber Forest. And away we go. We are off to the races. So, I don't usually say it, or sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but while we're just loading into this next game, guys, it's a good time to go press that like button. The goal for the videos lately is to hit 20 likes, and we've actually done that on the past couple of videos. So the fact that we're casting another best of 5, let's try and hit that 20 likes, and make sure to leave your comments down below. Here we are, though, spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, Cyber Forest. It's SortOf. And in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's Time. So, since this is a full-on best of 5, yeah, it would be, we may do a bit of fast-forwarding through these games, just because, otherwise it'll be a long cast. And I don't mind casting long games, but gotta save the voice here and there. Okay, so we are gonna speed things up a little bit, just while they get started out. Keep an eye on that production tab. But, when things really start to heat up, that's when we'll, resume to normal speed. But no, this is a full-on best of 5, so 5 games here. And if you're also new to the channel and you're just tuning on in here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I'm always putting out new content, so it's definitely worth subscribing to the channel. It's free, of course, unlike on other platforms, like Twitch maybe. Not the same thing, though, really. But here we are anyway. Just a standard opening coming out of these guys. The Reaper's going to pop for Time. I doubt he's going to go for a 2-1-1. SortOf showed that he's enough of a Zerg to deal with that. And we'll just slow down here again. Time moving right across the map with his Reaper. He did an SCV scout, so he's making a Marine behind this. That's to be safe in case SortOf went for a 16 pool or something. However, the Swede did not go for a 16 pool or anything. Just a very standard opening. He's about to get his 3rd base up. So yeah, a very standard Terran versus Zerg opening coming out of these guys. Time gonna be going for the Hellions, which are a little bit more common these days. The Queen, though, gonna pop out. Gonna send that Reaper pack, and she's gonna want to get her inject off pretty quick, though. Or no, she actually opts. Oh, okay. I started fast forwarding there. But no, Time actually managed to nab himself up that creep tumor there. And SortOf, instead of investing in the inject, he invested in an early creep tumor so that you can connect the bases quicker. But he just threw that away, really. And small things like that at the start of a game of StarCraft are a big deal, guys. Speaking of what Time's going into next, he's getting up a starport. We could be seeing an armory start for him pretty darn soon. Let's take a look here. Yeah, Hellions on the way, Marine on the way. I just say that we could be because usually you'll go for a medivac and then maybe an armory to join up with the push, as that's a very standard push. One of my more favorite pushes in the game. No armory starting for Time though, so probably just a Marine drop with some Hellions. SortOf's coming on in. He's going to scout this. There we go. The armory is now on the way. He sort of did identify this, though, and you can generally assume as the Zerg player what's going to be coming your way. A very standard push coming out for Time. We'll see what he's able to get done with this, because this, while it's such a cool push, in my opinion, you get the Hellbats with the Medivac, which heals them, then a few Marines to support. It is a pretty darn common push, and sort of basically just scouted it. He didn't see the armory, which is the main tip-off, but he saw the Medivac building without an add-on. He saw the Hellions, he saw a few Marines out, and that generally screams aggression for the Terran player. So in comes these Hellions. They're actually going to be just getting elevated into the main base. Okay, this is nice. Time was selling sort of the story that he was going to be going for, say, a big attack or something, when really he's just going for some damage here with these Hellions. Lings are coming on in. These Hellions are going to get boosted out, so they don't find a ton of damage there. It looks like they fried up about 3 drones. So Time opting to get 3 drones, not commit fully, and then going to be following this up. Let's take a look here. Hellions unloading in the main base. Once again, actually going to morph into Hellbats. Eat some Banelings there. Now there's some more Hellions going to be run on in towards the third, but so far, great defense from SortOf, as he's just really shutting this down. Time trying to poke in multiple angles, and he's going to be following this up with Bio. He's getting a third CC on the way, but once again, a nice defense from SortOf, shutting down these early game Terran shenanigans. And Time, while he's got a few Hellions still, he invested in a fair few this game. He hasn't been able to get a lot done. Liberator at the third base. Harassing. Queen's gonna go down to it, but they're doing their job. They're defending their kiddos with from that Liberator, so really doing their job. SortOf lost 3 drones, now fires up around a 14 as he's very comfortable. He held the earlier aggression, and now he's got a moment to breathe. No Evo chambers or no upgrades starting for SortOf just yet. But still, he's a pretty comfortable Zerg player once again here, and just such a great Zerg player. But Time, he's a very good Terran. We'll see if he's able to get anything done here. For now, though, I'm fast-forwarding, really, just because Time, he's going to be stuck back in his base till he powers up as the Terran, because, yeah, like, you invest in, say, the early Hellions, then your production's a little bit behind. And for now, nothing major else is going on. I mean, the Hellions are sharking about. They might be able to deny a few of these Banelings. That would be nice for him. Time looks like he might be getting surrounded here. Losing these Hellions can hurt because they can really help you out just by being a buffer for later pushes, though. SortOf getting up a 4th base. Time scouted it. These rocks are being worked on in case Time goes for a tank push, which he very well is probably going to be going for based on the fact that he, has siege tanks. That's why SortOf has been breaking down these rocks to make sure that the tanks can't get set up behind them. So a very good knowledge of the map there from both these players. Let's take a look, though. Time going to be moving on in. Is SortOf prepared for this? There we go. These Hellbats transforming, so they're going to help buffer for this. A few of them did go down, though, so there's not going to be as many. But look at this. Yeah, SortOf knows this is coming. Time's just going gas, though. We'll see what he's able to get done. The Queen's in range of the tanks. Got to be careful. Transfuse each other. Keep each other alive. SortOf's just going to have to dive on top of this pretty quickly. And it looks like that he's hesitating a bit. Not sure that he can engage into these tanks. His hatchery, though, is taking a lot of fire. He might have to dump some more transfuse in it to keep it alive. Ling's going to be charging on in to try and get a surround on this. The Banelings running away because they know the tanks will focus fire them. Can Time get this hatchery? That would be a very nice blow for him, and it looks like he is going to get it. No transfuse going down for SortOf. I think he might just not have had enough energy, so Time getting the damage done that he wanted to. It was very close, but he made it happen, and now he's found himself in a pretty decent position to continue this game. as shutting down the Zerg's fourth is definitely a nice win for the Terran. These tanks have just been getting so much value, so much zoning power, although they do get cleaned up now. So all in all, pretty decent for time shutting that down. He's powering up as a Terran player. He's getting up those extra barracks, going up to 3 CC, 5 barracks. He even throws up a 4th command center already. So that's a pretty quickly timed one. So 4th command center now actually ahead of the Zerg's 4th base, which is very, very nice for the Terran player. Time finding himself in a great spot this game. In comes the Marines and tanks once again. Sort of, he does have Hydras and Lings and Banes though, so he should be able to shut this down. But for now though, time coming on him once again, using these tanks incredibly well, knowing their zoning power. Looks like a bit of a counterattack from SortOf, going to be heading on in towards the 3rd base. Time's got reinforcements though, just going to quickly pull the SCVs somewhere safe. That sensor tower gets picked off. That's a nice bit of value there for SortOf, but in the end, he's still being bullied here at this 4th base, and if time shuts down this 4th, that would be absolutely huge. SortOf has to cancel his base once again. Time getting some massive damage done there. He's morphing in some Banelings as he's going to be looking to hit this location here, but time really anticipating this has set up a siege tank at that 3rd base, so Baneling's going to roll on in, but the tank going to be able to focus them down. They're not going to get a lot done. They pick off a few of the Marines there, but time's going to be happy with that trade, playing a very good Terran versus Zerg. Creep Tumor is resettling for SortOf, but he's just been fighting, trying to secure a 4th base, and it hasn't happened. He's had to focus so much on dealing with these armies of time, and he hasn't been able to. So now we see the Terran player, he's up a heavy amount of supply. He's got a 4th command center. Time is looking good right now. He's going to have his 2-1 upgrades done. Of course, there's going to be 1-2, so these guys will still be equal on upgrades, but for SortOf, it's not a good spot, man. Like, the economy of time is really going to take off here. And the 4th of SortOf just on the way, so that, yeah, this really hurts, man. Hive just about to finish up for SortOf, so there's a potential he may be able to claw his way to, say, Ultras or Broodlords or something. Looks like a drop going to be going down in his main base. Spore Crawler really helping out, deter those medivacs. Oh, one of those medivacs almost goes down, so SortOf dealing with that drop nicely. However, still, he's in a rough spot from what happened earlier. There we go, Vipers. Sort of a supplement to the Zerg army. Sort of not confident enough just to hold on with Lingbane Muta until he can, say, get up Broodlords or something, and that looks like what he is teching to. So a mature decision to invest in the Vipers already, just because he knows there's going to be tanks and other units for time that the Viper will help him deal with. Let's take a look here. 3-2 on the way for time, whereas 2-3 on the way for SortOf. So both these guys pretty darn equal on upgrades, but this game could go longer here as we're seeing time invest in a 5th command center. Meanwhile, getting up more barracks. SortOf is reaching to that hive tech, getting his adrenal glands, getting up his Spire and potential Broodlords. Of course, time not going to want him just to sit back and get there, so we see him. He's now pushing multiple fronts for SortOf. It's possible he could get some good damage done. Looks like some Widow Mines will be getting cleaned up by these Banelings. Need an Overseer over here if you are SortOf. Looks like another location under fire. A lot of Marines. They're going to eat some nasty Baneling hits, but they do escape. One Medivac getting on out of there, loading those Marines. And looks like time just doing the classic Terran 1-2 punch, and it's definitely working. SortOf could be losing 2 of his bases here. He keeps the one on the north alive. But it's kind of predictable that a Terran player is going to do this, so time maybe looking to move on in with this stimmed bio once again. For now, though, this base to the north being worked on, base to the south has been cancelled. SortOf, though, does just really need to hold on to get out the Broodlords. That pretty much makes Zerg unkillable in a straight-up fight for the Terran player until the Terran, say, gets lots of Ghosts or Vikings or Liberators or even just a good engagement. That's why Zergs always reach towards this hive tech as this game's going on. Those SortOf 10 creep tumors on the way, so good to see he's not slacking on that. But in comes time once again, looking to hit this base. SortOf does react in time, though. That being said, he's now being pushed towards the south. He's going for a double expansion or trying to secure both these bases, but time's just working on him so hard. He's just reading them like a book. This is something that SortOf really shouldn't be letting happen. I feel that is just a Terran goes for a 1-2 punch. Of course, sort of is kind of spread thin, but I feel like he has enough that he probably could have dealt with this. He's dealing with the drop to the north once again, but he lost this base to the south, and that hurts as the Zerg player. Time, he's securing himself his 5th base, so he's a very happy camper on his economy. He's better on supply after shutting down SortOf's 4th and 5th base so many times this game. He's a very happy Zerg, or a very happy Terran, and SortOf is a very sad Zerg, there's no doubt about it. WCS getting some friendly fire there. SortOf can't really push off creep. A few Banelings getting nullified there, and his Hydra's getting caught out. Blinding Cloud has to be tossed down to save some of these units here, and that does help turn the fight in the favor of SortOf. Otherwise, that could have gone very bad for him. Meanwhile, he's trying to deflect this push to the north, but SortOf is just dropping in supply, and it is looking good for Time, who has been just hitting the Zerg over and over again, and just playing sort of like a fiddle man, as Time now just picking off so many Lings with good Widowmine shots. The base goes down. The expansion to the north, that's definitely not happening. And suddenly we're seeing SortOf be knocked down to 3 bases at the 14-minute mark, and GG. Time takes it. SortOf knows it's over. Very good play by the Terran. And as this game's going on, guys, it's important to remember that this is a best of 5, so we've got a potential of 3 more matches here. We'll just jump right on into the next one. That is after I log on in. Do. Oh, there we go. We are off to the races as we are loading on into game number 3 on the map King's Cove. These TvZs are great. And here we are. It's a best of 5. Tied 1-1. Spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's the Chinese Terran player. It's Time. And up in the top left-hand side of the map, it's the Swedish Zerg player. It's SortOf. As far as when I say the Chinese Terran, I think it's pretty safe to say that Time is just that. Or exactly that, the Chinese Terran. There's a few other players in China who are quite good, but Time probably the best of them at this point. So yeah, he's just looking very good in that sense. Standard openings coming out of both these guys. Nothing out of the ordinary. Things really began to heat up there once Time started to move out. Keep in mind he went for that early aggression that sort of deflected, but then it was kind of just like that classic 1-2 Terran punch, and Time managed to kill off SortOf's 4th base, which multiple times over and over again, which the Swede really shouldn't have let happen. Now Reaper moving out across the map. Let's keep an eye on this guy, see what he's getting up to. But no, King's Cove, pretty standard map. In comes the Reaper. 3rd base on the way for SortOf. Oh, is the Ling gonna go down? Time microing his Reaper to the best of his ability. These guys just do this dance a million times. Drone under fire, but it's not a common thing for a Zerg player to let a drone die. Now, last game Time did manage to get a creep tumor, so SortOf has to step out with the Lings to zone it out. He definitely doesn't want to lose that creep tumor again. Loses a Ling, but that is completely acceptable. As that last game, that hurt SortOf just early on, him losing that creep tumor right out the gate. Not a great sign for a game of StarCraft 2. Now, on Time's side of the map, looks like he's going to be opening up pretty similar. For now, it's possible he could be going for Banshees or something like this. But, yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. Very standard Hellion Marine opening. I want to say that it's pretty similar because he is going for the multiple Marines once again. So we could see that armory get thrown down. But there we go, Starport. Just going to float on over. Is that so it can start a tech lab, or is he just trying to confuse his opponent? Liberator gets started up. So no medivac this time around. Just a Liberator, Hellions, and then a few Marines are out. Just really trying to confuse his opponent. Wouldn't be surprised to see a relatively quick third command center for Time come out, as he's been doing well with the macro versus his opponent. So I would like to see a third CC when he can afford it. As he is not committing to any major aggression, he's going for the light harassment. He's going to be starting his stim pack pretty quick from the seam of things. But yeah, we'll be seeing a third CC pretty quick from Time here. All the while going for bio once again. Very standard play from these two. Now, SortOf really has been the Zerg player that's been reacting here. He's one of these European Zergs to stereotype a little bit, and they play a very defensive style a lot of the times. Of course, there's exceptions, and you can't completely put any player in a box, but pretty much since Legacy of the Void, it seems that the Zerg players really like being defensive, and Zerg overall is the more reactive race. It's like a Creep Tumor gets picked off. Those Hellions, with their splash damage, were shooting that Evo Chamber, actually allowed him to kill off the Creep Tumor without a scan. That is actually very nice for the Zerg. Now, SortOf just using his queens to defend. Not quite sure of what his opponent is going for just yet, as there's no overlords on his side of the map. Queen having to get away from that Liberator harassment, but the drone pull a little bit late, so this Liberator getting himself 4 drones. You know, all these Evo Chambers are being harassed. Time made himself a good number of Hellions. Queens transfuse this Evo Chamber to keep it alive, but look at this. Time using SortOf's buildings against himself. The Queens, they can't really save this. Oh yeah, it looks like that this Evo is going to be getting worked on. A few Hellions are going down to prevent this. One Queen out on the map. Not getting any of those injured Hellions. Just a bit of cute harassment coming out of the Chinese Terran. Now he's maybe looking to go into the 4th base, just looking to clean up some Creep Tumors. Liberator getting harassment at the 3rd base of SortOf. Some more damage being done. The other one did go down, but a nice bit of damage has gotten done by Time this game. How many drones has he killed? He's killed 6. Actually, he didn't lose the other Liberator. Where's that other Liberator? Okay, it went home to get repaired, so Time really babysitting these Liberators. Then the Hellions just poking and prodding, and one thing that's important to note is that SortOf does not know that this is bio play just yet. It could very well be a mech follow-up, and the fact that there's so many Hellions, this definitely could be misleading the Zerg player. Here comes these Hellions picking off a Creep Tumor or 2. Time just really trying to keep that creep back and doing a great job of it so far, burning through the Queen's energy there as they have to replant these Creep Tumors over and over again. And that's really hurting SortOf, as his creep has really been pushed back. Time denied the Tumor on the left. He's denying the Tumors on the right. SortOf is trying to get up a 4th base here. But Time having up that 3rd base of his own, or SortOf trying to get up a 4th, Time securing his 3rd. Basically what I'm saying is that this is looking pretty similar to the other games in which Time just macroed well and then came on in and kind of killed SortOf with overwhelming numbers and just multitasking. It's like there's a bit of pause in this replay or whatever. Armory on the way for Time. He's going to be having his 1-1 finish soon. There's only +1 Carapace for SortOf, so Time's going to be moving on in here. Going to be able to make himself a bit of a strong push here, as he's got the upgrade advantage. His combat shield is finishing, his 1-1 is finishing. He's got tanks, and he's going to begin inching onto creep right now. And Time has pushed creep back so far, over and over again. This is allowing him to push in with relative ease, and suddenly SortOf is in a lot of trouble, and it's going to be very hard for him to shut down this attack. In fact, this could just be a killing move right now. Time very careful as he pushes on in. Centrifugal hooks will be finishing up pretty quick here for SortOf, and that is going to be a necessity to hold this attack, as eventually you have to dive on top of the Terran army. But oh, look at this. Time going to be moving down here. He sees these 2 Evos, and getting these Evos and shutting down the Zerg's upgrades would be absolutely huge. SortOf knows how critical that this is, but Time just going to focus these down. This is absolutely massive damage. Say goodbye to upgrades, SortOf. He's now definitely behind on upgrades, pretty much indefinitely at this point. The Marines are running back onto creep, which isn't a good thing, so Time's base will be, or his attack will be shut down, pardon me. But back at his base here, he's got his upgrades coming, whereas SortOf having to rebuild his Evos He's going to be in a lot of trouble as this game goes on, as Time's going to have himself a 2-2 versus just +1 carapace for a Zerg, and that is going to be very, very painful. Now, SortOf, he kept this 4th base alive this game, and his economy is pretty decent, but no, this is still a nightmare situation for the Zerg player. Losing your upgrades can just kill you in a game of StarCraft 2. Of course, for now, he's only behind 1 upgrade, but in a minute or so, it's gonna be a 2 upgrade deficit. So I'm not sure SortOf can do a lot to overcome this. In comes the Terran player once again, pushing in with just part of his army, and that's because he's dropping at the natural base of the Zerg right now. A few Banelings are rolling on in to clean things up. We'll see if they get decent connections. They get pretty alright ones, but great splits by Time, multitasking here, pushing on in towards the 4th, dropping the natural, trading out pretty darn well, and then just gonna lift up, doing a great job so far. One of these tanks is gonna get worked on by the mutas. Time, though, actually comes on in, picks off a few mutas for his efforts, so just getting good trades all around already. And this is even before his upgrade advantage has kicked on in. So SortOf just taking a beating here over and over again. Time may need to move back and consolidate a little bit, but he's got reinforcements crossing the map. Just a lot of Marines, a lot of tanks, even a few Liberators going to be joining on up with this time. Yeah, this tank is going to be in a bit of trouble, so Time overextending a little bit. He's got a lot of Marines here now, though, and SortOf down on supply. Soon to be down on upgrades, and guys, this is just going to be horrendous what we're about to witness. What 2-2 Bio does versus a Zerg player who's down on, who's not great in supply. I mean, it's actually okay for SortOf, the supply, I suppose, but the upgrades, they are not okay, and unless SortOf gets some very good Baneling connections, this is going to be real bad. Real bad for the Zerg player. Time now moving on in. He does just have Marines, so there's a chance that there could be some critical Baneling connections. And when I say just Marines, I mean he's literally got 1 tank, which isn't a big factor. Even nabbing up a few mutas now, which is great for him. And look at this, Time Parade pushing across the map. A Thor, more Marines and Mines looking to join up with this. And SortOf has to clean this up, but once again, these upgrades, they're going to be so huge. This bio is going to be pretty much unstoppable. And if we look at the Baneling count, it's going to be 5 Banelings versus so many Marines here versus better upgrades, better splits, and yeah, SortOf, he's a dead nerd. That's it, guys. Time. Gonna be taking this map here, and look at that, even Liberator harassment at the 4th base, which just is no longer there. But this just goes to show how well Time is playing this, and it's hurting real bad for SortOf right now. I mean, there's always a chance in StarCraft 2, but I don't see a universe in which he really comes back. Barring Time falling asleep here. Yeah, look at that. Mutas over Thors, never a good sign for a Zerg. I mean, they're doing surprisingly well, dare I say, but this is SortOf throwing everything away to hold on, and he knows it's over. GG, Time. Able to take that game. Just looking good. As maybe he's going to be the one to win this. Let's find out, as we're going to be having at least one more match here. We'll see if SortOf can bring it back. New Repugnancy going to be the next map. Here we go. Loading on in. The suspense is building. Once again, guys, as this video is going on, since it's going to be one of the longer ones here, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try and hit 20 likes. If you're sticking this long, you probably like the video, so you may as well press that like button. And if you're new to the channel and have stuck around this long, make sure to hit that subscribe button to get notified every time I put out a new video. Spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, it's Time. And in the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's SortOf. Now, SortOf, a very reactive Zerg. You know what I want to see, guys? I want to see him cheese the ever-living heck out of Time right now. Just do it. That's... I like TvZ. TvZ is the best matchup in StarCraft 2. But I do like to see a bit of variety in my TvZs, so I think SortOf just sitting back and reacting hasn't been working for him, as Time is just... He's just pulled them apart over and over again, and while SortOf practices making those just consistent defenses, and sometimes he looks just flawless. Like, I think it was in one of the Africa World tournaments I cast, he basically just went toe-to-toe on innovation because he was sort of hitting all of his steps, hitting or checking every box that he needed to. But then sometimes you just fall asleep at the wheel as a Zerg, it seems. And that really just allows a Terran player just to basically get a killing blow in. Like, maybe like, oh, sometimes Time's just like canceling a base or something, but the Zerg player, he's not dead yet. But at a high level like this, mistakes like that, they cost you hard, and they are hard to come back from. Now, I do like the choice for SortOf. He's trying to catch Time off guard a little bit right now, as he's actually going to be going for an early spawning pool. We take a look at that production tab. The hatchery is just starting here, basically, whereas the spawning pool is already done. So we're going to be seeing a good old-fashioned Zerg rush coming out of the Zerg player, unsurprisingly there. And I really like this. As the 16 pool, some Terrans are stubborn, man. You'll just catch them off guard and kill them. Time going to be moving across the map with his Reaper, as he's shown this series. He has an SCV scouted, so SortOf just needs to avoid that and then get on in there at this command center with his Lings as quick as possible. There's going to be a Marine out for Time, but he's going to have to pull SCVs to hold on to this. Now, as far as defending with the one Marine goes, Time has actually done one of the best defenses of this I've ever seen. So we'll see. He's gonna pull SCVs immediately to try and save this. We'll see if SortOf's able to pick off any SCVs, but Time has very good micro in situations like this. And look at this, the SCV is getting a beautiful surround here. Looks like SortOf trying to focus down one SCV. He gets 2 SCVs, a slight delay on the command center, but in the end there, this has been pretty good defense-wise for Time. I mean, he loses 2 SCVs for the 6 Lings. His command center gets delayed just a minimal amount. Time is one of the Terrans who deals with this very well. And, oh, look at this. A super-duper quick second factory coming out of Time. This is actually so quick here. This was before his second orbital command, so Time gonna be playing a little bit wonky here. We'll see what he's going to be doing. Is this going to be like mass Hellion or something? Or it's got to be for Hellion Cyclone or maybe Siege Tanks? Oh, I have no idea what Time's doing here, but I'm liking the look of it. As, I mean, he's got a 2-1 lead. Maybe this is just what he needs to do to clean the series out. As, or to close the series out, pardon me. Third base for SortOf, of course, a little bit delayed. The 16 pool, though, it can be followed up with macro, so it doesn't set you too far behind as a Zerg, and that's one of the wonders of the build. But, oh man, Time going for a tech lab here. Is this going to be Hellion Cyclone? Or is it going to be for Siege Tanks? And then maybe we'll see one of those Hellbat Siege Tank pushes. SortOf is getting in here with an Overlord. He's not going to see the extra factory, though, and that hurts.
Add-on.
But, okay, what are we seeing? Magfield Accelerator. So it is going to be this New Age mech. I honestly would have been a big fan. Even Blue Flame on the way already. So we're going to be seeing this Hellion Cyclone play coming out of Time. Now, I'm still on the fence about just opening up with a style like this. But as far as Terrans making this work, it's been proven to work time and, damn it, time again. So, oh, this guy's username, man. He's just killing me. It's not possible to not do it. Now, in comes these Hellions and Reaper. As SortOf just gonna be getting poked here a little bit. One Ling gonna be running on in. It's gonna get fried up by some Hellions, and that's probably gonna let SortOf know that he needs to be really on his toes. Time has gone for a fair few Hellions in the back of this series, though. But look at this, he's gonna have Blue Flame, and SortOf's gonna be relying on Lings to make this defense happen, so there's a chance that these Hellions can just absolutely fry up any of the Lings. Now, one thing that's important to note is that Banelings are not light, so the Blue Flame doesn't actually make the Hellions do more damage to the Banelings, otherwise they just pop like balloons, so that's very good for the Zerg player, or it's a very good thing for Zergs in general. But it's still going to be rough because the Lings really aren't going to help out. So a lot of the heavy lifting is going to have to be on the Queens and the Banelings here. And it's all going to come down to micro. Looks like Evo's starting out for SortOf, but he definitely doesn't know that it's this kind of wonky style. He knows now that these Blue Flame Hellions are here and that the Cyclones are here to lock on. Now the Cyclones, they put out a lot of damage even versus Queens, so they can lock on, put out a fair bit of damage to them. And these Hellions and Cyclones. We'll see what they're able to get done. It's important to note that Time never got Magfield accelerators as he opted for the Blue Flame. He could be getting surrounded here, but oh no, look at that. Look what happens to those Lings as they try and surround the Hellions. The Hellions just destroy them, so this is looking real good for Time right now. Hellions and, oh yeah, Cyclones just locking onto these Queens, putting out a lot of damage. This is Time bullying SortOf over and over again. Keep in mind he is bleeding off units, but softening up Queens, picking them off left and right, and Overlord survives just barely, but Time's just gonna keep pushing and pushing here. These two Cyclones, they force the Queens back, and then Time is ready to retreat at any minute the second that it looks like the Zerg player is actually gonna commit to this. Now, SortOf is planning another big surround here. He's looking to try and get Banes on top of this army, and he gets a pretty decent connection there. Swallows up a lot of the Terran army, so maybe that was what SortOf needed. I mean, the first time he went for that, it got shut down hard, but try and try again, and he does shut down a lot of that Terran army, but these Lings, they still have to really respect the Blue Flame Hellions. More Banelings have to be more. Hydras are on the way, and that will really help out with cleaning this up. Lings now trying to engage right into the Hellions. They are going to get fried right on up, though. The Queens have just been doing such a good job tanking as this game's going on. So far, Time hasn't reached that critical snowball just yet, as SortOf is able to push him back. He loses a Queen. These guys have been trading out here and there, but now that Hydras are starting to pop out, it looks like this is going to get a lot better for SortOf. He's managed to sneak up a 4th base as this has been going on. Time's getting up his own 3rd base, and he's going hard into this Cyclone Hellion mech style. But oh, look at this, the Blue Flame Hellions, they do extra damage to the Hydras, so nice trade there from Time. He's even going to get a few drones here with these Hellions, which just absolutely slaughter drones. So Time getting some good damage there, getting some favorable engagements, although he is being surrounded right now, and he is going to lose a good chunk of his army, so he's going to be reset in that regard, but getting some nice damage done there. As SortOf takes a bit of a beating, just isn't quite ready for that quick move by Time. Just pouncing on top of the Hydras. I mean, Hydras and Hellions, sometimes they can just slaughter each other, and you never really know who's going to come out on top, but Time did there, and now took a bit of a nice trade there, but things have calmed down for a minute as Time's waiting for his extra production to get online. But look at this, 3 Cyclones coming on in, walking onto a hatchery. They deal so much damage to these hatcheries. Looks like Cyclones and Hellions will be pushed back, though, and meanwhile, SortOf getting a bit of a counterattack with Lings, but Ling counterattacks do not do well when the Terran player has Blue Flame for his mech. Something to point out, though, is that there is an upgrade advantage for SortOf. He's getting up Infestors as he snuck up an Infestation Pit, and we're even seeing the Armories just get up for Time, so SortOf gonna have an upgrade lead for quite a while. That being said, though, it really is all about the mass here of how much Terran Time can produce, as that's really what makes these mech styles work. But, I mean, economy-wise, it's not that great for Time. SortOf, he's up on 4 bases. He's looking to get a 5th. That 4th was almost picked off, but that hasn't been the case. And Time, he is a Terran player who's just throwing up his 4th base. You really need a good economy if you're going to be playing this sort of unorthodox Terran style, because it's not usually getting the fantastic trades, and you're often sort of taking less favorable engagements, so you do need a good economy to back this up. Cyclones are coming on in. They are undoubtedly going to pick off this hatchery, though, so that is a very nice move for Time, knocking SortOf's economy down while trying to get to that better, stronger Terran economy, and this is just looking really good. A Baneling counterattack for SortOf, looking to make something happen. A few SCVs are clumped up, but in the end, oh no, they roll right into a Hellion, so very minimal damage getting done there. And this game is starting to look better and better for Time. That being said, he does eat a nasty fungal growth, and that's going to cost him a lot of his Cyclones and a lot of his Hellions too. Actually losing a ton of supply there, so that really hurts. Looks like some Hellions running towards the new 4th base for SortOf, as he did get up a 5th, but lost one of his bases, so he's down to 4. Nice bit of damage getting done by Time, though, and he is starting to get ahead in the economy here. He's going to have his 4th base up, and that's going to be absolutely huge for the Terran player. Like, once you get this as a planetary, your production just goes insane, as a 4-base Terran is definitely no joke economy-wise. And eBay getting up, I guess, just to cover all your bases there. But Lings are coming on in. There's no planetary here just yet, so SortOf scouting out, pulling his opponent back just a little bit. and does identify that there is siege tanks on the way, so Time transitioning already. Instead of just going hard on this Hellion Cyclone completely, he's investing in some siege tanks. As a result, we see SortOf investing in some Vipers, getting more Infestors though. And this is one of the spots which SortOf really does excel as a Zerg player, having good control with his casters, with his Infestors, with his Vipers. It's like another attempted counterattack from SortOf, not finding a ton of damage so far just yet. Hellion's looking to get on some of these Infestors, but not able to pick them off. Infestors not light units, they are armored and biological and psionic, but they are not light units, so Hellion's not able to pick those off too easily. Once again, Zerg players very grateful about that fact, as Infestors don't have a lot of health in the first place. Time going to be cleaning up some creep. This game has paused for a moment here, but he's now looking to push on in. He's got a pretty scary mech force, and with some Hellions and all these tanks, this army is actually pretty terrifying right now. But oh, a bit of a misstep from Time, going to be losing a fair few Hellions, and those are an important buffer for all these tanks he has. Look at this, though. So many tanks for Time. The question is, are they spread enough? It's possible SortOf may just dive right on top of this. He's going to have Vipers in a second here. Where are the Vipers for SortOf? He's got 2. There we go. And these could be some very nasty blinding clouds we see coming out. There we go. These tanks were actually too clumped up for Time, so SortOf diving right on top of this. A good split on his Hydra's infested Terran getting thrown out, even a duct or 2 getting used there. And SortOf suddenly wipes the army of Time, and that was undoubtedly because those tanks were not spread enough. Those blinding clouds got like 3 or 4 tanks there, as opposed to if Time split, he would have been in a better spot. So this is looking very, very good for the Zerg player right now, as SortOf, while he say lost that base and got bullied a bit at first, he's held on, he cleaned the army, needs to make sure he doesn't lose his hatchery once again, so he's gonna try and surround this, and looks like he will get it. These Hellions, they always trade out good versus the Lings, but SortOf can afford to do that for now, as he is still on 5 bases. Both these bases have taken a beating, but he kept them alive. That being said, though, Time continuously keeping his own economy good, as you definitely need that to make this mech style work. But that being said, it's still tricky to make work versus a Zerg who has reached that late game composition, and SortOf has reached that. He's got the Infestors, he's got the Vipers, and now he's gonna have the Broodlords, which basically shut down tanks, they shut down Hellions, and they shut down Cyclones, really. And just the fact that SortOf has those really means Time has to change how he's gonna sort of address the Zerg player. And he's got to be coming up with something. Liberators sometimes are the choice for Terran players because they zone out the Hydras, and that can allow you to step forward. So that may be the tech of choice for Time in order to make this happen, but so far SortOf, he's approaching max. He's getting up more bases here. Throwing up extra hatcheries is always worth it as a Zerg. And that's a fact. You guys can't argue with that. It's always good to be just throwing up a hatchery as a Zerg, because you never know when you're going to lose one, since you're the race that's constantly harassed. Now, it looks like Time's trying to move on in once again with his tanks, Hellions, and Cyclones, but he definitely can't kill the Zerg player right now because there's Broodlords in the sky. And as a matter of fact, once Time sees these Broodlords, he's definitely going to have to back on out of there. Maybe he can get that 6 base, but it's not happening. And as a result, these Broodlords are going to force these tanks to unsiege, and it looks like Time has to nope on out of there. He's going to be losing some of these tanks as he forfeits them. Hydras are wandering forward. They're taking a few too many shots there, so not the best trade that it could have been for SortOf. But in the end, he's still in a pretty good spot. He's got these Broodlords. He's actually crossing the map, maybe trying to catch his opponent off guard. And Time definitely doesn't have a response to this many Broodlords. He's only got 6 Cyclones and some Liberators for his anti-air, but that's not enough as there's Corruptors and Vipers to support. So this could actually just be a killer's instinct working out for SortOf right now. He sees that there's Liberators in the air, and there's Cyclones on the ground, but this is actually so many Broodlords. There's Hydras beneath it, and yeah, SortOf is looking very scary right now as he's pushing on in towards his opponent. Broodlords on the ground. Yeah, that's it. Time taps out. He had a great economy, but he wasn't making Vikings to push back the Broodlords, and SortOf just was like, no, I'm gonna go kill you. And Time, he was making Hellions and Cyclones and Liberators, nothing which directly counters Broodlords. And as a result, we're going to game 5. These Terran versus Zerg series that I've been casting have really been delivering so far. And let's take a look here at who's going to win this one. The final game. How's it going to look between SortOf and Time in the game number 5? Logging on in once again, as you got to do after every replay cast. And once again, I'm going to say it, guys, make sure to hit that like button. I know I might sound like a broken record, but this is pretty much 5 videos in one, as these have all been great Terran versus Zergs. And now we're getting into the final one, so 20 likes, that's the goal. Help us hit it. We are loading on in, though. Automaton is the map, the final one. It's a bit of a wonky map, a bit of unorthodox, unstandard, but we'll see how it's going to go between these two. Let's do some proper introductions. Spawning up in the top right hand side of the map, it's Time, the Chinese Terran. I mean, he kind of just got bopped at the end there. SortOf was like, I'm going to kill you now, and Time said Hellions and Cyclones, and SortOf said what? Okay, yeah, that's basically what happened. I mean, Time was like rock, paper, scissors. It was basically rock, paper, scissors there, and Time basically brought out like a stapler or something, and you just can't. I don't know, that analogy is going nowhere, guys, but you can't make Hellions and Cyclones when you know your opponent's making Broodlords. Like, Terran players like to think they have the luxury to invest in those compositions, but we saw what happens when you do not prepare for it enough. Like, sometimes Terrans, they can get away with sort of slowly addressing the Broodlord problem at their own pace, but you gotta remember, Broodlords are not just a very strong defensive unit. Sometimes Zergs do commit to that push, and as a result, the small distance that SortOf had to travel was just enough of a distance for Time to be like, time to just fold. Like, he was not making Vikings. He didn't expect the Zerg to move across and kill him, or he was just hoping that he wouldn't. Now, as this game's going on, standard openings from both of these guys, no early pool from SortOf. So let's take a look. Who's going to win this one? Reaper out for Time. Once again is Marine. I mean, he dealt with that early pool pretty nicely. For now, though, just that standard Reaper moving across the map. Guys, if you're a bad Terran player like me, instead of making that extra Marine just because one extra Marine is too much to handle, you'll just SCV Scout. But Time, he wants that extra bit of money, as an SCV Scout in the early game is very expensive. It might not seem like it, and might not be the biggest deal at the lower levels, but at a high level, it is so important to have every little advantage as you can. Now, SortOf, once again, getting out his Queen, getting out his Lings, getting out his quick third base. Third before 3 is a good motto for Zergs like SortOf. Third before 3 minutes. Now, Hellions on the way. So Time, once again, going for this. Not surprised that we are not seeing a 2-on-1. We'll see how he's going to play it out, though. Is he going to play that bio style once again? This is honestly the game which I want to see SortOf go for something like a Dirty Nidus. Time, though, he's opening up so similar to the other games, but okay, never mind. Cancel that. Cancel the similar plan. As Time, going to be going for battle cruisers here. Could potentially be Liberator range, but in the current meta, it's battle cruisers. You guys know it, I know it, we all know it. Get hyped. It's a professional level battle cruiser rush we're going to be seeing, and how well can SortOf deal with this? Because it's game number 5 of a long series. You might not be so focused that you're like, I am completely ready for battle cruisers. A Baneling Nest is on the way for SortOf. That's not going to cancel battle cruisers. That being said, though, you got a lot of time as the Zerg player to prepare for something like this. And one of the things that I've actually been meaning to look into, guys, as a Terran player, I play Protoss and Zerg as well, but as a Terran main, is that double battle cruiser rush that we saw like Fantasy do in the GSL. Time's just making the one, which is okay. That's plenty of battle cruiser. But I still want to look into that. The double BC rush. Now let's take a look here. Spore Crawlers on the way here for SortOf. Definitely going to help out, as of course he doesn't know whether it's Banshees or something, so you got to respect that. So the Spore will help out dealing with a battle cruiser. And now Time, he is just going for the BC. No Yamato cannon, so just the initial sort of crud factor if you're sort of, in which you got to deal with the one battle cruiser that's in your face. It's a very odd unit to have to deal with. It's a very, very tanky capital ship. I believe, I want to say 400 health. I'm a bad Terran player for saying that. But, yeah. For not being sure as to how much health. Or is it 450 that a battle cruiser has? Who knows? We'll find out as soon as this bad boy pops. And this bad boy, he's going right across the map the second that he does pop. 550. Okay, I was completely wrong. I knew battle cruisers were tanky. But anyway, speaking of tanky battle cruisers, here's one popping up into the main base of SortOf. This queen, she's going to have herself a real bad time. Going to have to run around that spore crawler if you're a drone. For now, though, this BC is actually getting a lot of damage done. And the thing is, if you were Time, you just right-click on drones. And so far, he's got 7, 8, 9 drones. A nice bit of damage for Time already. The Hellions are pushing in towards the third base. This is just already a nice start. Now, there's the one battle cruiser out. Time is not investing in any more. He's getting up his reactor as he's going for a standard bio follow-up. But this BC, this hurt. This really hurt, sort of. As he got... 8 drones have gone down. A queen included. And then Overlord, maybe even another Overlord. Transfuse gonna keep that one alive. Very important. Oh, another Transfuse. Time wants it, but he's not gonna risk losing that very expensive battle cruiser, as a battle cruiser can pretty much always harass. Ling gets on in for SortOf. Does identify that it's a bio follow-up, which is incredibly important for the Zerg player to know what exactly is coming your way. That being said, though, SortOf really needs to get that creep going, really needs to get prepared for something like this. Had some roaches moving across the map. He morphs them into Ravagers to try and keep them alive. But, oh yeah, there we go, SortOf. Losing 2 roaches. This BC just getting that value, and it's actually going to cancel the 4th base. Some very, very nice damage getting done by Time with this battle cruiser. And this bad boy's already got teleport again, so in theory, as long as Time's microing this BC right, it should never die. Now, SortOf a little bit unsure, maybe, of what's coming his way. Busy spreading creep, but also making some Banelings, Roaches, and Ravagers just to try and hold on, I suppose. He doesn't want Lings or whatever. I guess Ravagers can help try and deal with the battle cruiser, but oh, look at this. Time, he's got 3 tanks loaded up into Medivacs, and he's going to be looking to push on in towards SortOf. Is SortOf ready for this? The tanks are going to be able to get set up behind these cliffs. Maybe that's why SortOf was making the Ravagers. We'll see if it is going to be enough, though, to hold on, because look at this. Time's coming in with a lot of units right now, and SortOf has to pull the trigger on this. 2 of the tanks are exposed. The Ravagers are going to have to get Corrosive Vials going down, and the other ones to pick them off. Looks like all the Banelings go down there. Time looked like he was getting pushed back there for a second, but he quickly rallies and steps forward once again, using his tanks to great effect here. One of these tanks will be getting picked off. The other, I presume, will be going down to Corrosive Vial, and there we go. It does fall, so SortOf is able to push this back for now. And let's take a look here. Let's sort of assess what we see. 1-1 going to be finishing up for SortOf. He took that fight without his upgrades, whereas Time has had his, so that is very impressive for SortOf. The fact that he was still able to clean that up quite decently, dare I say. And now he's tacking into some mutas, but Time has been a monster dismantling SortOf, mainly just based off the back of his multi-prong harassment, and we'll see if SortOf's gonna fall victim to that once again. He's really got to stay on his toes. He's getting on in with a Ling counterattack, though. Gonna be able to potentially deny the 4th base of Time. This would be absolutely huge getting this, and it looks like he's gonna be able to get it. That is a very nice move for SortOf, but here we go. The multi-prong harassment for Time going down. Drops going down in the main base. Some Marines running towards the 3rd. I believe they're probably just misrallied. There's this drop on the right side getting cleaned on up. Is SortOf ready for this drop in his main? Looks like he is, though. So he's holding on. He's doing well for now. SortOf not falling victim to this. And he's also got the mutas out, so that makes the attacks of Time a little bit more risky for him. Now let's take a look. Time is powering up. He's getting out Thors. He's getting out a lot more Marines. And he's getting 2-2, so the potential of a 2-2 timing attack from the Terran is still very, very scary if you're the Zerg player right now. But let's see if SortOf is able to get some counter damage done. Oh, gotta be careful with those mutas. Actually gonna be losing 2 mutas there to those Marines of Time, which unloaded. They sort of sensed that that would be coming. Both these players just so good at this game. Now let's take a look here. Time just securing up his 4th base for now. Meanwhile, a Ling counterattack at the 3rd base. It's just 2 Zerglings, so SCVs actually are able to clean it up. But sort of, he's had a fair bit of time this game. We'll see how's his creep spread doing. It would be good to get that out once again as much as he can, because creep is life, and it is time for a Zerg player to hold on versus these attacks, which Time is eventually going to be going for. 2-2 going to be finishing up for Time relatively soon. I figure that's probably when he's going to be looking to move on out. And what it's sort of have to hold on versus an attack like this, he's got 73 Lings out, but his own 2-2 isn't done. And oh man, is sort of planning an attack. I don't think you can attack in right now if you're sort of. This is actually so risky. He wants to get around there with his Ravagers and pick off that sensor tower with Corrosive Bile, which he's going to do. That's actually a very nice move there, picking that off, but sort of cannot go for an attack. This is Mines, Planetaries, Thors, and Marines galore right now. He needs to be on the defensive as he's down on upgrades. There we go. Sort of is retreating home. Okay, this is very important. We can, like, if you're sort of, you just want to be buying as much time as possible. Time is your friend, sort of. Hold on. Drop some Corrosive Biles, push this army back a bit. But the one thing sort of cannot afford is being just pounced on right now. Looks like an engagement is going to be going down in the center of this map right now. Sort of's army, though, it's not holding up right now. He did not have his 2-2 upgrades. That fight was right before his 2-2. A bit of indecision from Sort of. He's actually planning a Ling counterattack right now, but there's tanks, Thors, and Marines in position. Time is retreating, though, so Sort of able to pull his opponent back there for a second, but oh man, that fight definitely could have gone better, and I don't know if Sort of should have taken that. He just sort of realized, like, oh, your army's here, yeah, let's go. But Time took a good trade there with his bio, sort of down in the resources lost, and now Time, he's still got this scary army that's looking to move across the map, and sort of is a ways away from getting up ultras that he wants, and his army supply is now lower. And this is a Terran player who's got tanks, he's got Thors, he's got a good amount of Marines, can sort of hold off. I mean, he dealt with that first bit of damage rather easily early on, but fighting before that 2-2, that was kind of concerning for him. That could have gone a lot better for him just if he had those upgrades. Now we are seeing Sort of, he wants to engage in this army. Got to be careful, bleeding off a few mutas. Looks like there is Marines behind his gold mineral, or his gold base here, so he needs to be very safe from that. Needs to clean that up somehow, as he's not able to mine there. Few Banelings rolling forward, looking to get what they can, but they engage off creep. And now we're seeing this is Time starting to really put the pressure on Sort of down on supply. He's equal on upgrades right now, so he really just needs to dislodge this Terran, but Time really using the map automaton right now. There's a lot of cliffs. This can force the Zerg player into a very awkward engagement, but Sort of realizes that Time's on creep. He's going for it right now. Ling's getting a wraparound, but the army of Sort of is dissipating here. What is left when the dust settles? A Thor engaging into these mutas. Looks like it's in the medivac, but Time microing it well and sort of gonna be getting pushed back. He's got another round of Lings out. He's even getting some Ultralisk on the way. That is what Sort of needs. If he can hang on to get out Ultras, he can stay alive, but Time is really putting the pressure on his opponent right now. And this base is under fire. There's no mining going on there for Sort of, but he's got another base up, so he's a 5 base Zerg for now, 6, depending on how you look at it. And he's just desperately trying to hold on. Both these guys making as much as they can. The muta count for Sort of hasn't really ever been established super high. He needs to get some more Banelings out. Where are those Ultras that he finished up? There they are. They don't have chitinous plating just yet, but Ultras are still Ultralisk. They've got their +3 armor in a second here, and actually not yet, so never mind. And is there enough to support them? No chitinous plating for these Ultras could actually be what kills Sort of. Never mind. As I was saying, they're still good, but Time doing a great job kiting here. And look at this, yeah, Time microing versus these Ultras incredibly well. They eat mine shots, which really bruise them up. Time kiting back. He's got a lot of medivacs here. Sort of is engaging right on top of this, but Time with an upgrade advantage once again, and it looks like Sort of might not have enough. And the Terran player is pushing on in right now. And yeah, this looks like, yeah, Sort of GG's out. Time takes the series and wins the best of 5. Another awesome best of 5 from WCS. And just beautifully played by Time. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this best of 5, make sure to hit that like button. We want to hit that 20 like mark for this video. That's the goal. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. This was a over hour-long cast, so make sure to hit that like button, guys. But I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe, as I'm putting out a lot of casts like these. There's still more WCS replays to go through. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.